Hi. Good evening. This is Jupiter Exile, and we're back to playing more Elden Ring. When we left off on Elden Ring, we had completed the game, slayed Radagon and the Elden Beast, and became Elden Lord, ushering in the Age of Stars. But now, we seek a new challenge. Seek adversity! And so, we're going to be playing a more limited run. This is going to be a Fist Weapons Only run of Elden Ring. We are not going to allow ourselves to use any other weapon types, whether it's holding in the offhand, using any buffs. Even from the very beginning of the game, we can't use the club that we start with as the Wretch. Not allowed. We're not allowed to wear shields on our back, even though they might give us passive bonuses. We're allowed to wear whatever armor we want, and we're allowed to use any kind of weapon arts if they can go on a fist weapon. So we're gonna get into it. Oh, come on now. Still plugged in, right? Oh, I need to click the box. There we go. So, new game. We've got a lot of kind of busy work tasks initially to get through, so let's kind of work into that. Oh, it kept my face from last time, I think. No. My face from last time was more messed up. So name him Jupiter Platinum, and I'm gonna see if I can make him look a little bit like Star Platinum. I am gonna allow myself a keepsake. There's no reason not to. I think I might go with. I think I might go with a rune to help out with some early purchases, but I can go find runes. It's not a big deal. Let's start with a stone sword key. Those are pretty useful. Yeah, we're just going to go into detailed appearance. First of all, I'd like my skin color to be something kind of purple, maybe pink, pinkish purple. Let's get really ridiculous here. Let's see. I'm thinking of something that's close to either Crazy Diamond or Star Platinum. The cultured ones will know. Base template. Bone structure. Oh, man. Form emphasis. I didn't actually play with all of this too much before. Apparent age of 205. Yeah, okay. That's a perfectly sensible age. Okay. So I might just go with what I did before, which is we just pick similar face, and we just keep picking similar face until we get somewhere. Can we similar face our way into the most Neanderthal-looking punchy boy who ever was? That's very strange. I'm trying to prioritize making the eyes like as wide apart as this brow, just this monumental brow. Oh, that's got the chin going. Looking for a lad who has been utterly caved in. Can I make the eyes any further apart? They've gotten weirdly close together. Or can I make them even closer together? Ooh. I might be able to make the eyes go entirely underneath the weirdly overhanging brow. All right, let's go with this. Let's go with this. How do I get the hair? Where's the hair? Okay, and color. Sure. Facial hair. I think mutton chops feel like the way. I can't explain why. It feels necessary. We can diminish the stubble a bit. I think the character looks more cartoony if it's less stubbly. Yeah. Get the Patrick Warburton feel going. Oh my goodness. When you look at it from this angle, the eyes look almost expressive. Like, too much so. It's distressing. Alright. Let's see. Nah, the rest of this is probably fine. Tattoos and marks. Ah, I didn't play with this before at all. Just a single dot in the middle of the face. Pockmarked kind of thing. There's some solid options here. This is the Frenzied Flame icon. The Knight of Black Knives. Ah, the original kind of Dark Sign look. Let's go with a Dark Sign. And I'm just going to have it in black. And there are eye patch options that I have not mucked with. And, nah, we can't hide these beautiful eyes. You can't hide these eyes. Those eyes. As for the body, I don't necessarily care about making his body exceptionally weird. Let's go ripped. This guy's got to be ripped. We're gonna be staring at this. We're gonna be staring at this butt for a long time, to be honest. Yup. That's right. This is our previous character, Mr. Sallow Face Man. It's like a very, very sad Count Von Count. Let's go. I don't necessarily care to fret over character creation for a super long time. While this is spinning up, I'm gonna get myself some coffee. Ah, or almost fell off.
The fallen leaves tell a story. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between.
It makes me wonder, the figure that we see depicted there, it seems that it's clearly Radagon. Is Radagon responsible for the shattering?
Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish.
Not entirely true, as we know, because Godwyn the Golden was killed at the same time as Rani of the Moon.
Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring.
By the way, that is Morgott just like wrestling Radon to the ground.
The mad taint of their
Moog making off with Mikola. That's Mikola in his arms there.
triggered the shattering.
Rykard feeding himself to the Great Serpent. Friggin' mad lad.
A war from which no lord arose.
Yeah, the shattering is a war, a conflict.
A
But it's
war
also...
leading
It also was a conflict previously.
by the greater will. Oh, Rise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live.
Who is the speaker in the opening?
Speaks to us all.
I'm trying to recall if this is the voice of another character that's currently calling for us to rise.
Orlu, chieftain of the Badlands.
That music swell.
Gold mask. Fear, the deathbed companion. The loathsome dung eater.
Interesting.
And Sir Gideon Ofnir. The all-knowing.
Is he lying in a bed of ears? That looks like it's nothing but ears. The ancient Albinaurics are the ones that don't look toad-like, right? The ones that are, just kind of person-like, but they still have the kind of degeneracy disease.
Grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between.
Rise now, mutton chopules.
To stand before the Elden Ring.
First it's mutton chops, and then it's karate chops.
And become the
Elden Lord. Ah, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's understood to us by virtue of what he precipitates. Yes, you can explain to me what this things are. I think it's understood to us, or kind of told, in terms of what he precipitates, that he must have information networks and various kinds of knowledge. So a pile of ears and being the all-hearing one is certainly appropriate to that. Is my multiplayer stuff the same way? No, my passwords have to be set up? Okay. So, we're going to do the group password exiles for the first one. We'll be using One Bros. Come on now. And then, because I love my some VTubers, let's see, what were they? I think it's Deadbeat, and is the last one, come on, selected. No, that's not right. Oh, that's right, it's Taco Time. I'm supposed to do that. And I think that one's all caps, I can't recall. And actually, Seekers. And we can change those up later. Oh, think so. Interesting. You know, that is the Finger Maiden's garb, isn't it? The path broken and uncertain, perhaps because we've been deprived of our Finger Maiden. This does have the look of a church, but that figure is not Marika. She's not in Marika's pose. Who is that figure, actually? It's not in common with the other locations. I would need to bring a telescope back here. I want to look at her eyes and see if one of her eyes has the markings of the Glomide Queen, which I think are the markings that we see on Melina. From what I recall, there's nothing of real consequence around here to be found, so we're just gonna move right on through. And as for this first fellow that shows up, oh, there he is. Goodbye. Once his boss bar has appeared, you can jump to your death and it triggers the same encounter. Yes, you also saw the you also saw Vatividya's latest video. I was also commenting on that because I felt as though, reflecting on butterflies, it brought me back to the nature of cocoons and how often we see that as a motif. Um, Zully the Witch had a video featuring the Royal Revenants enemy, and the Royal Revenants also have this kind of opened up chest cavity that seemed to me reminiscent of a split open cocoon, that it was kind of echoing that same kind of motif. And of course, Mikola is in a cocoon, but was also in the hollow of a tree, and I think we're seeing that kind of like cocoon, tree hollow, butterfly thing going on.
Don't worry, Torrent. Fortune is on his side. We found him here, after all.
I can see it now that it's already been mentioned, that her hands are burned. You can see it for a moment when she's brushing Torrent. I haven't seen these cutscenes in more than 140 hours.
Seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
That's true. Interesting. Yeah, it harkens to the notion that the spiritual steed is a specific, discrete creature that has a master from time to time bound to the spirit calling bell. No, wait, the spirit calling bell is given to you afterwards. It's not related to Torrent. Anywho, no tutorial for us. I'm not interested in punching everything down there anyway. We've gotten these things. Yes, yes. Cave of Knowledge. One of the first things I'm going to do is reassign the Flask of Cerulean Tears, because we don't need to use it that often. This doesn't come with a golden seed, as far as I recall. Yeah, I'll have to listen to that, because it's been so long. I've literally only been playing the one character, and that one character is our level 1 boy. Okay, have the finger sever, whatever. Unimportant things. Let's get going. Our first active business is basically going to be to run to the church. We'll have a quick talk with Vara. I'm not certain if I want to maybe progress Vara's quest line, which would give me another way down to visit Moog. Ah, it's like a breath of fresh air again to walk into that broad, open scenery. Feel like I've been, you know, cramped in the hollows of a tree, fighting a swordswoman forever. Unfortunately maidenless, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna exhaust his dialogue just in case it matters later. Huh. So one issue with Vara and his quest line and all that other stuff. Oh, I'll grab the golden effigy for all it matters. Oh right, I don't have Torrent yet. It's such a reflex for me to mount up. Yes, materials, whatever. Deer skulls.
And I can also see that you're not up. Then why not? I am Kale. I am of selling where the land has its only tongue. Let's say you know, you should buy yourself a crafting.
I will need a crafting kit.
But the important. Goodbye.
But we'll have to come back to that later, because we don't really have the means of earning runes just yet. Let's see, and I believe it's only after I've signed up with Melina that Ronnie is going to show up, or is it whenever at night? I think it's at night, but I have to be packed with Melina first to get the horse. Actually, can it be any old grace to make the agreement with Melina? Let me see. I know that last time I agreed to the pact, it was at the grace that's outside of the encampment. But I don't think I have to go all the way over there, necessarily. Mm-hmm. We might need to hold on to each of these things. Yeah. It doesn't seem like we are due to meet with Ronnie yet. Or, due to meet with Melina. Okay. Well, off we go. I want to cut across about this way. Might have been seen, but you can just put your weapon away. Here, beetle. It's just a health bug. Okay, there's our target, Grace. Oh. Come here, you. No thank you, bats. Yeah, our earliest golden runes are going to be through a mix of running over those skulls, and also graveyards tend to have a large set of runes. So we'll be running through some graveyards. Here we go. We don't need to go back for the bell immediately, so we'll be waiting a bit before we do that.
Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melina.
Even the simple lines always sound so nice to just focus on the noise-canceling headphones.
I offer you an accord.
I think the mark over her left eye is perhaps the most substantial mystery surrounding Melina.
They serve the two fingers, offering guidance and aid to the tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidens.
I can't recall if we see that exact symbol somewhere else,
I can play the role,
although Ronnie has some symbol over her right eye.
turning runes into strength to aid you. You need only take me to the foot of. Then it said, summon me.
Done deal.
I bequeathed. Use it. It will summon Torrent. Treat him with.
Okay, we're gonna bind Torrent to this guy right here. Yes, I know. All right, and we're off to the races. I do need to get the map that I believe is in this camp. I don't need it, but it's very nice to have. Excuse me, everybody. Just gonna be grabbing this. No. Limgrave West. Tag this. We're going north through here. Excuse me, don't shoot me too much. Golden Seed, handy. Couple of Sky Wolves. That's what our damage looks like. Rest the grace to remove these people. Or these wolves, rather. A quick chat with Roderica.
Everyone who came with only to have their arms taken. Their legs taken, you know. It's quite a lark. You were willing to make me a chrysalid.
All I did was jump, actually.
Enticed by the one in the white mask. Well, that makes us. I don't have your. It's scary.
She was also enticed by Vera.
Nothing but a Oh, I know. Can you take?
Ah, congratulations, Takadachis.
Poor thing, and it'll be glad of.
We won't be using them anyway.
Tell them I love them. I'm finally getting the hang of this whole pain thing.
There's no need for that. You'll be alright, mostly. As alright as anyone. Yeah, we're hooking direct east across this path. For a few reasons. Now, I'm trying to remember, I think it might be up here, actually. So I'm going to place a couple of beacons on some things I need to check. Around those locations. I can't remember exactly where this item is, but I need something. Got it in one. Yep, that's what I needed. Okay, other important things. I think I need to check over there. I don't remember why. There's an important dungeon over here. Oh, and I need to make sure I actually go by the church. I think it's much further east. The church that has the mixed physic. I think some giant might be angry at me. Off a ways in the distance. Let's see. So there's this area I kind of wanted to check on. I'm trying to remember where the third church is. I think it's over here somewhere. Nothing hiding up over here? Alright, all good. I don't have the best recollection of where every little thing is. So we're going to be working at that for a while. Ouch. Oh. Bit of a fall. Hello there. I don't think this is a meaningful dungeon, but I'm going to pop inside here and tag the Grace anyway. Just to collect a few early Graces. Oh, there are two exceptions I am planning to make on the Fists Only rule. One of them is I am going to be willing to use... Oh, there's an item between you guys. Excuse me. That's very nice. So one of those exemptions is I'm still going to use the Serpent Hunter to fight Rykard, because bolder and more determined people than me have tried to map out that fight without using the Serpent Hunter, and I'm not on board for it. Like, I'm not interested in trying to make that happen. You have to deal with a lot. Not only is it the fact that he is a giant snake, but he has like a fiery aura that surrounds him, so that getting close to him will actually cause proximity damage, and that's just no fun to try and navigate and deal with. Cool, all right. The other caveat,
Can you hear me? Help me. I'm stuck.
I'll be up to see you in a moment. Let's tag this and go up to see our boy. I think we can still complete Alexander's quest line. It's not terribly important for us to do so, but it's possible.
Hello? Can you hear me? Help me.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, I am these. I thank. Just give me and I'll pop. Don't dally. Give it your all.
Let's try my bare hands. Ah, dragonfly. Ah. Oh yeah, we can make dual-wielding attacks with our bare hands. It's probably going to be very important.
Don't stop now. Just keep. Put those down. Give it your.
Ah. Don't you cause me trouble. This might take a while. I thought this was based on a number of hits, but it might be based on actual damage. There we go.
Oh, that's. Well, I.
Thank you very much.
Once again, I journey and beyond the upon their southern edge. I'd heard doesn't. I'm headed to Redmayne. I've heard.
All right, see you later. Just be riding on past this angry boy. Hello there.
Oh, you here as a
So chatting with him will mark him on the map. Is good. I don't think I need any of his stuff, except for maybe the Warrior's Cookbook. Unclear. Might as well buy it. Won't have to come back. I'm gonna need a few of those anyway.
I'm afraid I'm very.
Oh, come on now. It was noted in an earlier video that the, I think this was Vati Vidya, the song that is played by the merchants is reminiscent of the same song played by Father Gascoigne. Or was it something else in, it was something else in Bloodborne. I think it was Father Gascoigne's boss battle music, but I don't recall. Okay, found another Lost Grace. Okay, so there's this whole segment with the first Tibia Mariner. You know, the close to unmissable one. But we don't really want to engage. We can't exactly hurt it. Really trying to recall the location of the third church in the next map fragment. So that's a church. Let's hit that up. So we're still going to need sacred tears and the like. This is a church with a fight. I think it's the Frenzied Flame. And we are not going to win that fight. Oh, it's Anastasia, okay. I think Anastasia might be affiliated with the Frenzied Flame, but I don't recall. Yep, just take care of that. A couple cookbooks and a grace. Yes, death. We will be familiar with it. Excuse me, chums. Need to make my way in here. This is not actually the part of Caelid I want to be in. For various reasons. I think I need to take an entrance that's more southward than this. Yeah, basically. I forgot about this place. Well, that might be handy later, but I don't need to come back here for any reason in particular. I just want to step outside of the teleportation blocker. I'm gonna try going east across Akil Lake. I think this is about the trajectory for the map and the mixed physic, both of which I need.
Oi! You there. Could you help us out, Cully?
Sure thing, Bach.
You were just... Thank you. I was pushed out of the cave and I ended up as a tree. Lucky you came along, really. Oh, when they threw me out of the... So this is all I hope. Or I could then... Right, I'm...
Okay, it'll probably be a while before we get back to progressing anything related to Bach. Excuse me, I'll just grab that. Arteria leaves, incredibly valuable item, just sitting out in the goddamn open for no particular reason. America knows why. Whoa, excuse you. Excuse me, I appear to have fallen off. Well, that's not ideal. I'll have to get back up out of this lake. I don't know if I can make that jump. Nope. There we go. Platforming. Platforming achieved. Okay, I would like to get on the other side of this giant progression of guys. Excuse me, everybody. Just gonna make my way on through here. No need to worry. The waypoint ruins. Is this? I think this is the one that has the large angry plant. Yes, it would be. I thought there was also a grace around here. Is there not? It's around here somewhere, I'm certain. Excuse me, fellas. Okay, well, somewhere perhaps. Let's get over to this road and cut east. We'll have a quick chat with Kenneth Height, I believe. He's on that second bridge-like apparatus. Several dragonflies that I am not really equipped to deal with. There's a grace. Tag that. I most certainly do not remember where all of the important graces are, so we'll be working on that as we go. Does Melina want to talk to me any further at this point? Yes.
Forgive me. To determine.
This conversation, I think, is based on time or distance. I don't remember. I didn't have this conversation for the first time until after I had faced Margit.
Whereas I merely there is but one I can take gathering play. Very well. Let my hand.
The metaphysics of the Round Table hold are confusing to me. Not certain if it's ever well explained.
I don't believe I'm known as T to those who all the more, unless you wish.
Speak to various people around here.
The honor of one. By the way, she's my servant. Take your eyes off if you find her. Be sure to tell she's a servant. She's been my. I've lost count of them, honestly.
Okay, that's his last dialogue for that one.
Those who live all the more.
Oh, welcome to the I teach and explore. So that
Corin.
we're ensuring, by the way,
I think it is technically possible
you do most time you are
to complete Corin's quest
the golden.
while being at RL1. It is technically possible. You need to have an absurd number of buffs going at the same time to get your stats up to the right level. Yeah, you'll betray me later. Can't open this yet. It'll get opened later. We've got these figures here, but I don't think I can purchase anything just yet. And they don't sell the basic cestus. I don't actually remember who does sell the basic cestus or where it is, but I do know who sells the spiked cestus, and that's going to be our weapon of choice for most of this, basically. So with that being said, we can just continue about our way. There's not a whole lot of business down there initially. Beacon that, so we can keep the right heading. Get more map done. Tag this so the beacon goes away. Is this my target church? Perhaps this is my lucky church. Yep, here we go. Just grab these first. Flask of Wondrous Physic. And our first Physic. As well as here, a Sacred Tear. And we will be binding that over here. We've got a further pending conversation with Melina.
Spoken echoes linger here. Words of Queen Marika, who vanished long ago. If you wish, I will share them with you. Very well. In Marika's own words, my lord, and thy warriors, I divest each of thee of thy grace. With thine eyes dimmed, ye will be driven from the lands between. Ye will wage war in a land afar, where ye will live and die. Well, perhaps that might
Limgrave East. Okay. From here, we need to get up this here mountainside and cut east into Caelid. I believe this means we need to cut directly through the Summon Water Village to get in there. Oh, actually, there is a path over here. I see. I kept this going instead of holding to the path. So let's actually just go back to the Smoldering Church. Initially entering Caelid is naturally a bit unfriendly. I'm going to give a bit of birth to try and make sure we don't trigger the fight with Anastasia, because we don't want to get dismounted. Okay, here we go. A barricade of fire, as if to ask, are you sure? And some of the first things we see are these heinous nightmare crows. Alright. So, our first destination here... there's two. That is Fort Gale that we'll have to get down to, but our true destination's actually over here a bit, as I recall. Around to make sure I haven't angered any exceptionally large dogs. Okay. Go around this ruin while sticking roughly to the road. So that's one of our destinations up there. I believe our other one is that fort over there. Not certain if I've got the right of it just yet. I think that is a merchant's campfire. Now, let me just take a moment to knock out that bot. And you are out of here. Yes, this is our lovely, like, mounted attacking animations. We technically have them.
Welcome, dear customer. Yes, right this way. Right this way. Welcome.
You sound almost sinister with that.
Please, I'm hungry.
I do have a golden rune if I need to buy something. But he's got basically nothing I can use. Sorry about that. I'm surprised I didn't get a comment on the way out. Okay, so this will be down into the swamp, but we don't need to go down into the swamp just yet, or really anytime soon. That would be our map location. Oh, and as a note, although I am using fist weapons only, thrown weapons are still fully kosher, so we can use bombs and knives and the like. Okay, that is a bit of a bummer. I'm just talking to him to mark him on the map. This Scarlet Rot is most certainly a death sentence. Unless I can locate a Grace post-haste. There is a Grace down this way, but I don't think I'm gonna make it in time. Maybe I will. Hey, what do you know? We're not dead. Okay. This is not really our destination, though. We need to go back up over... I can't recall if it's here. I think it's up over this way. Don't mind me, friend. Just making my way, trying to avoid lots of horrible dogs. While I try to remember the arrangement of this place. I think I've angered a crow, which is something close to a death sentence. Okay, there's a church over here. I'm gonna try and make that church. Dragon Communion. Okay, yeah. So this would be in the southeast, kinda. Reset aggro because it won't let me pause. There we go. Okay. So that's Celia right there. I think I need to be going up along this path. That is just Celia. I am really trying to remember. I think it's up over here then, as it's in the Dragon Barrow. So I think we're cutting east from here, then? And, can't quite see the chat, that message up there. Does it have to be through Celia? I'm not certain. You know what? That is kind of the way of getting into the Dragon Barrow. Yeah, that might be necessary. Oh, but here's something I needed to do anyway. Oh, you bother. Wanted to get some golden runes. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I might have to go through Celia. What I recall is there is a jumping path over this trench, however. At the very least, I'm going to head back out there and try and get the remaining golden runes over there so I have some currency to work with. I will need some currency. Okay, so call. Maybe this only gets me into the northern area. Oh. A very important map piece. I can't pause for some reason. I can't look at the map. Ha ha ha! Yeah, thankfully the game is pretty good about giving us multiple routes into things. Now, I'm pretty sure that the fortress I want is basically on the opposite side of Greyall. So I think it's along this line. Yep, there's the fort in the distance. Just gotta avoid all of the dragons. They're mostly very tame, so it's not that big a deal. Hey, buddy. Taking a nap? Greyall is going to be annoyed that we exist anywhere near him, and I believe he's going to howl. Which gives us a very potent attack and defense debuff that are visible on the top left right now, and will cause us to possibly easily die when we're doing this. But this is basically a death run anyway. This is the part, this is a thing that can just go wrong. Yeah. Yep. Getting poisoned can just kind of happen very easily for this. Okay, now I have to remember generally how to, like, deal with the rest of this. Okay, we get the Dectus Medallion, which is handy, because we do need that. And then we want to run over, I believe, into this pit. And we can just drop into here. And then I believe there is a jump we need to make. Oh, and there are also rats. This is the jump. Okay. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Can fall down here, walk around here, grab this. Now we can die peacefully. Hiya! Yeah. There's not much point in trying to get out of there alive. So we'll just die and go back to the Grace. Okay, that is 1 out of 2 objectives in Caelid complete. Because we don't need to come back here for a long time once we've gotten some of these items. So, the talisman that we just died to acquire is Radagon's Sore Seal. You can see on the right. It's going to give us 5 Vigor, 5 Endurance, 5 Strength, and 5 Dex, which is going to increase our HP by almost, by, I think, about 25%, which is insane. This item is essential for playing on RL1. Now, in exchange for those stats, you do take more damage, but when you're at level 1, the amount of additional damage you take is less than the health that you gain. So, whatever. The other thing we have to do here is go to this shack. I believe this is the right shack. On the way over here, we need to make sure we don't anger any of the dogs. And I believe I've picked up enough... Oh, there's several dogs. They're tending the sheep, by the way. These are sheep dogs. They're, like, somewhat tamed. Yes, this is RL1 with just fists. Yeah, it's super easy math. So we come up here to visit the isolated merchant.
Well, it's been an age. How can I help?
And this fellow has our very important spiked cestus. Requires 4,000 to purchase. Buying the cestus, we'll buy this ritual pot while we're here, because that's handy. We don't need these other bits of knowledge. And I'm not using torches, because torches are not fists. A safe journey. I don't know if we will. Alright, we've now equipped the spiked cestus. When we put the spiked cestus in two hands, we wield it on two hands. We have a block replacing our L1. Funnily enough, if we unequip, if we take it out of two hands, we can have a like a two-handed swing pattern. But while it's in two hands, that turns into block. But our two-handed swinging patterns actually are one while this is in two hands. That's good. Got the strong attack, the leaping attack, and okay, so it just works like that. In some of the older games, if you had a fist weapon and you wield it in two hands, your character would actually, like, clap their fists together and start swinging like that. It's ridiculous. Okay. Now that that is done, we're gonna pop back to Round Table Hold. And let's see. Oh, Ofnir, you stepped out of your office.
I can't remember the last. Very well. It is safe here.
Nah, for now.
Allow me, you, a house guest. Remember your.
Sure. We'll talk again once I've killed a lord. Let's see. And for upgrade materials, I've got 7 smithing stones. I believe it will take 12 to get through the first round of upgrades. So as of one of the patches, they actually added smithing stones, I believe, to the basic inventory for this gal. No, they did not. Okay, that's fine. We can still pop in a couple of upgrades. I think we can pop in the 2 and the 4 upgrade. Yeah. Just make things a little simpler.
You're new, no matter how loud you are. I see you've noticed the change. Nothing special. I'm trapped by the hold. I'm dying, smithing for you fools. That's all there is to it.
I killed a god with your hammer, by the way.
Don't read too much into
Thought you'd be proud of that.
My being a prisoner is no fault of yours. Besides, despite my differences, the weapons get stronger all the same. Given time, technique never fails. Besides, it helps me forget the sheer terror of her.
Hugh, I believe, is one of the misbegotten. I think that's correct. This is one of the closest looks we get at, like, misbegotten physiology. He has growths on his back that are kind of reminiscent of omen horns, and it looks as though several of his horny growths have been kind of shaved off. He's got these kind of scales everywhere, and it's indicated that his kind are denied the grace of the Erd tree, believed to be unfit, or something like that. Some of the growths along his back kind of have the appearance, like one of them looks a bit like a wing flap, maybe, or perhaps some additional digits. They don't have the handling of limbs, and his legs are digitigrade, back bent. Okay, so I do need to get more upgrade materials. Or rather, it would suit me well to get more upgrade materials. I don't strictly need them. There are also a few... there are also a few different beneficial weapon arts. I think one of them might be down by the beach. Yes. Yeah, it's all kind of Crucible related.
This way, Tarnished.
Yes.
I have a word.
I suppose I am due to speak with you.
A pleasure to meet thee, Tarnished. I am the witch Renna.
Mm-hmm.
I'd heard tell of a Tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed, and upon looking into the matter, the talk I surmise is of thee. Thou art possessed of the power, no? To call forth a spectral steed named Torrent.
Yeah, there's a few spots where you can find those in, like in a clustered
As I had
location.
hoped, I was entrusted this for thee.
I love how the framing of this puts the moon in background with her. Assuming that you come in at the Grace, you walk straight to her, and you talk straight to her, the moon will be in the background. It's not technically necessary, because you can always do this.
'Tis a bell for calling
But
forth spirits. Summon them
this is the natural way that the conversation occurs.
Return to the Erdtree. The spirits will obey thine command but briefly, as they recall battles past. Now it is thine.
Now, I believe,
Forgive
or...
mine intrusion, Tarnished. I doubt we shall again meet. But all the same, learn well the lands between. How long will it be, I wonder, before the Tarnished tire of obeisance to the two fingers?
Yeah. I know that you don't appreciate the two fingers either, or the greater will, or anything like that. I had heard, or been told, that there are actually two moons in the sky, and that one of them is simply not lit. There is the regular moon, as we understand it, the bright moon, and a dark moon. It's hanging out up there somewhere, but I don't see it right now. Okay. I want to go down to the beach. I know that there is a... what's it called? There's a weapon art down there that I want to grab. I think it's one of the cold-based weapon arts. Yep. The full moon and the dark moon. I know that the one I'm looking for will be on the northern edge of the beach, and it's one of those that is like an invisible roaming beetle. Yep, you can see it from here. I don't remember if this is the weapon art I'm thinking of. It might be a different one, but oh well. I'm also not certain if I can put the mist-based weapon arts onto this weapon. We'll see. Yeah, no dice with that. Let's see. Well, this is probably a fine spot to stand anyway. Oh yeah, I can also cast Endure for all that matters. With bad attack range, this is going to be a little annoying. One of my other options is to sit here and, like, throw knives. Try and get it when it's on its way around. I'm not sure if it particularly decelerates or sticks in a spot. You just gotta time it. Ah, you can see them carry ya. Okay. Got him. Ah, no, that's nothing important. Okay. I could go down to the Weeping Peninsula, but I don't think I have much cause. I think, actually, I can just progress now, right? So, one of the most substantial power spikes I will come across is getting access to cold infusion, because we can make this weapon act as a the weapon can get bleeding and cold at the same time, which is hilarious. Come here now. Okay. Wild strikes. Not that important. I don't actually think we can even put wild strikes on a fist weapon, even if we wanted to, which we don't. Excuse me, sir. So, it has been a minute since I have last fought Margit. But we fought Morgott, and that's kind of similar. Flame of the Redmanes is certainly a good option. I don't think Lifesteal Fist will be relevant. Lifesteal Fist does allow me to use the blood infusion if I want to emphasize my bleeding more, though.
Emboldened by the flame of ambition.
So Margit does at least shave the omen horns that have come in over his eyes. Moog does not shave any of his omen horns at all, and actually has omen horns that are growing back into his flesh.
Someone must extinguish thy flame. Let it be Margit the Fell.
We'll see how that goes. Just you wait until I remember your attack patterns. Oops. Ah. Always gotta remember how slow everything is in this game. Oh my god. This dude is in slow motion until you try to heal, and then he speeds up. Oh, this is so much slower than his later renditions. I've only been fighting Malenia. I don't remember how this works. Ah, he got me. Let me do that again. It is really funny how much slower it is than before. It would be beneficial also for me to get more sacred tears and things like that, golden seeds. Actually, I think I have some golden seeds. I actually had a couple. No more sacred tears, though. Hey, buddy. Oh, too early. Ouch. That attack is still nasty. Oh, it's so weird how much slower he is now after dealing with the fast stuff near the end of the game. I'm gonna do one more thing. So Margit actually stands in the way of us doing pretty good damage.
Thou art of passing skill. Warrior blood must truly run in thy veins. Tarnished.
That attack is still rank nasty. And there's Margit the Fell Omen. Ah. Quick marker on that. Moving on. But yeah, we can still fight him while being far from perfect. Even unarmored, wearing nothing, with the Sore Seal, he won't one-shot us with most of his attacks. All right. So this brings us to our next priority item. Because now that we've beaten Margit, we have access to an extra talisman slot. Now, how do I get down here exactly? I don't entirely remember. I think we need to jump off this bridge onto that spirit spring. You're gonna make this a little annoying, aren't you? Oh. Herp. Yes, spirit spring jumping. Thank you for the tip. Suppose I may not be remembering exactly the correct spot. Oh. Well, thank you for that. Somewhere around here, though. Is it this one? Okay, this might be it, but I might have the wrong dungeon. Let's find out. Okay. Now, before I commence with this dungeon, I do have some more runes, and I probably want to spend them. So I'm going to take a quick trip in to go meet with Kale and buy the crafting kit.
You're back.
And a few other things, including the telescope.
There are others of my people. If the mood takes my people, which is why we can. Thanks to that, I think this makes your people. I'm glad you took. You've made an excellent.
Seems good. Okay. So we get some details about containers and crafting, yada yada. Priorities and such. Yes, I believe we do need to take care of that at the High Road Cave. I'm gonna try to remember if there's anything too important to purchase at Round Table Hold. Because I don't have a bell bearing yet to be able to buy smithing stones. And I don't think they're offered yet. No. There. That gave us the opportunity to meaningfully sell our runes. Done deal. So, High Road Cave. So, if this is the one I'm thinking about, then the reward for this cave is the Blue Dancer Charm, which will give us scaling attack strength, depending on how little we are wearing. Bit of a hard fall. That is, of course, if this is the right cave. Excuse me, fellows. Just trying to roughly remember what this is shaped like. Oh, that won't work. That's fine. There's America steak in this room, so we're good. Don't need that. A little bit of platforming. A little bit of giant octopus that we don't want to deal with. Excuse me. Is there something behind you? Ah, there we go. There we are. I don't remember if this place has like a second Marika stake or if we just have to do that room again in the event that we fail. Yeah, alright, suppose we continue on. Oh, bite your legs off. Ouch. There we go. Now, was this the right cave? Yes! So, in the top right, you can see our attack power on our Armament 1 is listed as 120. Now it's 138, so that's pretty good. All right. There should be a teleporter thingy to lead out, if I remember right. No, it's not. There's nothing there. Oh, there it is. Okay, so those were our two most important things to grab in the early game. I think I remember a cave that has a good access to smithing stones. So I'm going to head over to that next, and I believe that would be the cave that's right here in Ogheel Lake. So I need to get kind of down into the lake first. And then we'll make use of the smithing stones to upgrade the weapon a bit, and then go into Stormvale Castle proper. I think I can just take this fall. Yeah, we're good. So, almost every spot on the map, it won't let me get into the map right now, there we go. Almost every spot on the map that looks like it's kind of this burnt hole thingamajig is a very important cave. These are all basically mines that are full to the brim with upgrade materials. And we don't need to fully clear this place. So we may or may not actually go after the boss down here. I'm gonna tick off a whole lot of miners. So by the time we're done here, we'll have a bunch of people chasing us. We're looking for these yellow stones along the wall. They're typically where these guys are mining. Well, I guess I found my way to the boss anyway. Five more stones. Oh, I didn't actually intend to trigger this fight. Oh well. Ouch. I'm gonna give him some room for a sec. Ouch. There's that. Didn't get too much out of that, but there's a little bit more stone back here. There we go. That should be the last one I need to get this item up to +3. And from there, we're using smithing stone 2s to upgrade it, and I don't think there are any more in this place anyway. Ah. Quick trip to Hugh. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Well, I took you about to lay out your arms.
There we go. While we're in here, I didn't talk to Fia before, so I'm going to progress her stuff a bit.
I am circumstance. Great champion. Perhaps you might doing so will go. And you, do you think it fell where I come from? Ah.
A little bit of waifu action going on. Look away from the stream, it's too lewd. We're getting reported for this one.
What you felt like, though it is but a fleeting thing, I am afraid. Come back to me. I will take you in my arms as often as you need.
His lovely whispered voices does make me want to fuss with the microphone more and see what kind of voice I can capture. Excuse me, my chin has other business to attend to. So now we're going into Stormvale. Now, I'm not interested in taking the health loss from Baldachin's, so we'll use it immediately. Okay. Gonna have to remember how to navigate this. Now, as long as we're using fist weapons, birds are going to suck to fight. They may very well be the worst.
You there? Come over here, would you? You're tarnished, aren't you? I would advise against taking the main gate into the castle. It's tightly guarded by hardened old hands. Oh, try the opening right here. The guards don't know about it. You'll breach the castle undetected. Yes, that you're just... The guards, you'll slip...
If you could just be a shopkeeper right now, that would be very useful to me, but whatever. If you're not in the mood, I suppose. Gostock, indeed. One of those frustrating characters. There's always several of them, aren't there? Our first smithing stone, too. Very good. First grace, no birds yet. So that earlier bird is more avoidable than the birds to come. Excuse me, sir. Yep, I want nothing to do with any of you. Wake up those guys, step back. We're good. Excuse me. Okay, gotta wait for that to blow up. Go through here. Drink. Dodge. Moving right along. Open this on up, go inside, trigger the little thing, we get locked in. Man draws sword, Gostock Snickers, got a key. Excuse you. Just gonna open this up and loot it. Character crouched for no good reason, thank you. In many respects, these guys are no fun. Yeah. Too stunned. But that's fine. I got the key. This set of rooms is a little difficult to run through because of all of the fire bombs that people will throw to throw you off your game. We are by no means a deficient fighter with this setup. Our damage output is actually quite good. We can stagger people pretty quickly as well. I don't recall if there's anything terribly useful down here. Maybe some upgrade materials. Excuse me, buddy. Not really here to tangle with you. If I recall correctly, we can't even craft firebombs right now because I never bothered to learn how. They didn't break all the barrels, so we need to trigger them to throw again. Basically pop up here, wait for these guys to start a throw animation, and then we move forward. There we go. I'm gonna grab this item back here. I believe I can open this now. Oh, whoops. My bad. Bit of a mistake. You know, there is one thing that is a trick that I'm going to try out for a moment. Which is, if we equip this in the left hand... Okay, that's right. So, we can still fight with it somewhat. Okay. So, a possibility is you can change around the way things are equipped. You can still generally access the ability to fight with the weapon you have equipped. But it gives you the kick weapon art because you don't have anything in your main hand. Most weapons, you can still just use the left button to swing. And it's not bad. By all means, it's better than you might think. Whoop. Watch out for that. Excuse me, friend. These fellas think they're fit to tango. Handily worthless. Well, maybe I'll need some prism stones later. Oh, excuse me. I'm too busy. I'll take that. Move up along here. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I think there was something back here. No, there's no item ahead. Thank you very much, person. Excuse me. I have some business to attend to that does not involve getting murdered by you. No? Okay. No, can't make that? Okay. I thought I could. I was mistaken. I'm trying to remember the options for getting through this room. Heh. Didn't mean to slip there. Ouch. There we go. Well, there's our interior grace. Ready and raring to go. So along this left path, we've got lots of eagles. So I would like to try avoiding that path if possible, but I don't remember if it is possible to avoid this path, or if it's just kind of a thing you gotta deal with. I think we've got a case of the latter, that you just sort of have to deal with that. Is there something else up here? Fist weapons are pretty good for breaking poise. Woo! Excuse you. Pop. Pop. There's a bird up there. But I think this is our progression direction, more or less. Okay, bird's angry. He's just gonna be angry. Woo! Excuse me. Coming through. Tarnished on the move. Flying units in Elden Ring, thankfully. Ah! Camera, why? As I was saying, flying units in Elden Ring are not actually good at changing their verticality. I'm gonna keep using that rooftop path. It's just, you know, need to not have that go wrong the way it went wrong there. Quite unfortunate. I think I can just drop down straight here. Yep, that works. This doesn't piss off the hawk, so I can take my time. Okay, so it's a drop down, and there's a path up there for stuff, and probably some reasons. Ow. That's mean. I don't remember what's up here, but if it's materials, I want them. So I will be spending some time hiking around for loot. Oh, it's birds. Several birds. The Claw Talisman is not that bad because jumping attacks are very good. It's a 10% damage boost on jumping attacks. Which is like, initially, I mean, it seems like it's kind of small. But it's alright, it's legit. Just hop down to here and be on our way. I believe this puts us kind of back on the main path. Is this something that's death? Oh no, that's an item, actually. Smallburst Smithing 2. That opens with a Stone Sword key. Precious item? Well, maybe. Sneak around here. I believe that one of these rooms is the shortcut back. Yep. There's a shortcut back to the Grace. So that's the roof route to get down to the second level without having to go through the main route that has the crows. So with this, we can come through here. Here's the Grace. There's a few other items and offshoots along that route that I just took, but I don't need them, so I won't be taking them this time through. So we'll just pull this back up. Now, attached to this room, I believe over here, there's loosely a key item on top of these, which is the Chrysalid's Memento. Dogs, as always, incredibly dangerous and actually quite healthy. Dogs are bound to be a huge problem to run. The Chrysalid's Memento is not strictly necessary to return to Roderica. It's just kind of extra flavor, if I remember right. But even if you don't get the Chrysalid's Memento to Roderica, you won't lose anything for not having done that. If you return to that same room after Roderica has repositioned, she will have left a memento of her own back in the pile of those corpses, they being her former comrades. And you can go back there after defeating Godric the Grafted to get Roderica's Red Hood, which is handy because it gives you 1 extra vigor. Anyway, this dude is keen to square off with us, and we're really not. His lovely, like, crafting hall full of all sorts of hanging body parts. I think this just connects to the second floor of this same area. Yeah. Excuse me, buddy. Wrong place, wrong time. Just gonna run over here and grab this item. Anyway, this puts us in the courtyard, which is super effing dangerous. Yeah, so this place is full of tons of guys. Tons of guys. Dudes everywhere. There is an Omen soldier there. And there's a Grace over here. Dogs are lame. Anyway, we're here now. Can I open this yet? That opens from the other side. Okay. This place also serves as like a neat little connected hub shortcut thing, because this is the elevator that will take us back up to the spot with the kind of halberdier knight. And the door that is behind there actually leads to an area that I think is like kind of host. I think that area is kind of after Godric. Over here we have a painting to interact with. Ouch. I don't think the painting rewards are really important to us in this run, as restricted as we are. I don't remember what you actually get for them. Oops. But when we're on a run where we're restricting our options so heavily, there's a lot of things that become less interesting. I think we have to get through this hawk. Smithing stone 2. That's the grace room. Grabbing this item over here. Actually, can I drop down over here? I don't remember if I can drop down here and survive. I don't think that's actually survivable. Looks too far. One potent option that's available to us, and we might need to resort to this like later, but I don't think necessarily now. We can get consumables that mimic spells, and the gravity spell consumable is pretty handy. Yeah, not gonna get that. Birds! Birds, several birds. This is gonna be the worst part of the dungeon. I think I might have accidentally skipped past Rogier at this point as well, which I might need to turn back and do. He's kind of up in one of those higher segments. Let me see. And I think I might actually be able to get through the courtyard to another area that's important. I think we might be stuck going through the birds at this point. Uh-oh. Do they actually leave us alone in this room? The answer is no, they don't. I want to talk with her, but I'm not going to be able to then, unless I can approach this from another angle or kill both of these birds, which with fists is going to be miserable. Let me actually see how bad it is to try and fight one of these things with fists. Pretty miserable. Okay, so let's see. If his first attack is going to be followed up by a fire blast, there's enough of a delay between that I think I can actually run behind it. Come on. Right, it steps back when it does that. Okay, that didn't work. Okay. So when it goes in for the slash to fire, I need to stand still and do a jumping attack, and that can connect with it. I might be able to follow it up with a jumping forward leaping attack to get it. Let's see what we can do. Got him. Okay. So it's a bit of a mix of offense and defense. Now this one's going to wake up at the same time as the soldier. Oh, went too far back. There we go. Whew. Okay, now I can talk to Nefeli Lu. There we go.
Proud. You were a fine warrior. Well, who do we have here? Tarnished, are you? I am Nefeli Lu. I'm here by decree of my father. How utterly this grafting of Godric's ill befits a lord. He's tainted the very winds. If you intend, I ask you, call the winds run. I'm certain for. Apologies, as fellow town down whatever. Apologies, as fellow town whatever.
That's the end of that. Very good. All good and done. Nice chit chat. We have a golden seed over here. Definitely don't want to miss that. Trina's Lily. Trina's lilies are handy. I'm pretty sure I'm still going to be using a sleep pot strat when it comes to beating, what's it called? The Godskin duo, because that fight is just patently unfair. And I don't really have an interest in figuring out how to beat it legitimately. Momentary rest. I don't remember what this beetle is good for. But it's making noise, and so I'm going to kill it. Ah, Stormcaller. That's cool. I mean, theoretically, I'm not going to use it. All right, let's remember how to fight this guy. It's been a while.
Mighty dragon, thou'rt a true-born heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred. Deliver me unto greater heights. Well.
No thanks.
I am the lord of all that is golden.
Or so you would like to be. After Godfrey the Golden, your ancestor. It's too early? No, it was fine. 2, 3, 4. Big one. Oh, missed it. Rumbly tumble. Ah, it's too short. Green. Last one. Phase 2.
Truest of dragons.
I'll play through all the cutscenes the first time through.
Lend me thy strength.
Ah, I see that this dragon has feathers, and it actually has what looks like some Kaled rot. Third jump was too early. Is it the several? No, it's only 2? Okay. Oh. Suppose my positioning wound up not quite right there. Bummer. I should have dodged that. And there's Godric the Grafted. Done deal. Little messy. Little scrappy. But he's good and gone. There's a nice cinematic finish, too, to take him out on that attack. And we've acquired Godric's Great Rune and our first remembrance of the game. As well as a whole heck of a lot of runes. Touch Grace, quick rest. Back out of this. Have a quick chat with Gostock.
What a pathetic excuse for a lord you were. Craven to the bone. Oh, this wee guy, but tell you though, he had an ugly heart.
And now you are a shopkeeper who sells the regular cestus just in case we want it later. Not much point in buying anything else he's got. Can't recall if there are any interesting items in here. Yep, just a throne for the lord that will be. And I suppose technically for the lord that was. Yeah, alrighty then. We don't really need to activate the rune. I don't think that's important. Oh, wait a sec. Isn't the way to Liurnia through here? Something like that? Like there's an elevator or something? Maybe it was right behind the throne. How did somebody manage to kill themselves here? There we go. Those distasteful things, Shabriri grapes. Well, that was a pointlessly short ride on Torrent. Sacred Tear. Quick chat with you.
Believe it or not, for a... Well, you're a true... My name
10 runes. It's literally nothing.
Apologies, I'm afraid. All right, I can tell you what you've seen. That's the... Only its doors have been... After they declare the academy...
Yep, some things about Raya Lucaria, letting us know we need a glintstone key. He's got some things we don't need. Moving on. Mostly, I'm glad to just pop in there for the Sacred Tear and move on with my life. There are several important figures to talk to in the vicinity of Liurnia.
Surprised, no matter. No, I don't. Oh, but don't. Oh.
Don't ask how I got my hands on them. The lantern's handy for sure. We now have the ability to upgrade our weapon further. We've got enough smithing stone 2s for sure. But I believe it's just down the road. Oh, come on. There we go. Let me be. Liurnia of the Lake seems so grim when you first come upon it. Liurnia, yep. I'm trying to recall the location of a chapel. Maybe it's up there? I think it's just further along this road, isn't it? I want to have the second conversation with Vara. And there's a couple other things to attend to as well.
Hello. 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 It's rather chilly here, isn't it? My mistress sent me off on an errand, but I was accosted by a... Could I ask? That thug made off with a press. Only if you've... Oh, what a blessing that we... The thug should please...
I believe he is somewhat northwest of here. Oh, not southwest. About this heading, give or take. Is that it? No. I'm second guessing myself. There it is. We might want prawns, so.
What are you looking at? You trying to start something, mate? Show me, and I'll consider parting when I'm not in love with it or nothing. You're a shrewd one. First. All right. Things no your bloody idea. Oh. All right then. I could be persuaded to say. Oh, all right. Well, but it ain't my fault. Anyway. Lucky she ain't died on the bloody road.
Yeah, she ain't right is pretty apt. Pretty apt. So much easier to make your way around when NPCs get marked after you found them. So baffling that people would complain about that. But there were certainly complainers. Thinking like, oh, Elden Ring's getting dumbed down. Like, how dare the game be made any more convenient for anybody? Brr, 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 brr. And this time, I don't think we'll be interacting with the Dung Eater at all. So, our good friend, the Braggart, can just live. Or the Brigand? Braggart? I forget. Such strength is what my mistress seeks. Yeah, that is definitely something alarming. It is worth worrying about. See, I think we should head about straight north from here. That'll get us the map. And I'll have an easier time remembering where to find the church where Vara is hanging out. I think I've actually already run past his little haunt. Because I don't remember if it's down in the lake proper. It's like up on an island in the lake somewhere. Oh, no. Excuse me. Don't. Please no. Yeah, I thought I could slip past that. That was very, very wrong assumption. I don't recall if I've ever actually killed one of these lobsters. They are quite dangerous. It's not the Layscar ruins. It's Isn't it the Church of Irith? Isn't he, like, hanging out at the Church of Irith? No, it's the Church of the Rose, isn't it? Let me see. Wherever he is, he's hanging out in front of the church. So I'm going to take another check to make sure I didn't just miss him. Being completely absent-minded. It's entirely possible. Yeah, he's not hanging out in front of there. It's... Yeah, it's somewhere further out in here. Right? Pretty sure. Or is it over this way? I don't recall if I can actually get over this way from here. Let's see. I don't recall if there's a spot to jump down from over there. I can't see it through the fog. Excuse me, fellas. So as it happens, Stormvale Castle is technically skippable with the right kind of jumping. Yeah, I think it's actually from there you can jump to here. And as you can see, that's the bridge that is out. So you can actually jump over to here and just take this little route around and not do Stormvale Castle if you don't want to. kind of showcasing how preposterously free-flowing this game is. Yeah, you can actually just jump down from the bridge over to here as well. And then ride along this path. And you'll just go past a couple wolves, and that's it. You're in the Liurnia. No big deal. The coward's route, as the finger reader would call it. But you know what? Screw her. She is, she's the servant of this exceptionally weird thing. Probably better not to listen to her anyway. We all know that the greater will is some particularly weird outer god. Ah, here's our jump down point. I don't know if I've ever checked that that Giant's Procession. It might have something interesting in there. Probably not interesting for me, but maybe interesting in general. Excuse me, lads. Just give you the old love tap. Journey 4. Ooh, nice, nice. Yeah, I saw that you had acquired all of the legendary armaments. It was appearing recently in Steam. Oh, you're not a merchant at all. It's your own fault, really, lighting a campfire and sitting next to it. I was promised wares, and you had none. I wanted to take a quick stint and get the Jarberg grace so I can come back here later when it's time to meet with Alexander. Just activate this guy real quick. Just because. But I think that you actually have to approach Jarberg from the north, if I remember right. I think it's actually interesting that the maps are somewhat outdated in some places. And there's actually, like, a mapped out section here, but the actual terrain is missing. In the vicinity of the Liurnia Tower. Excuse me, Mr. Crab. Right, we've got a Tibia Mariner up over here. There's America Steak. I remember that there is a grace inside the tower, so I think I'm going to ping that real quick, just for easy traversal. No, that's right. The entrance to the tower is lower than this. It's down there. And there's no way to that from here. 5 great dragonfly heads. That's poison curatives waiting to be made. Andy? Another painter's check. Okay. Make that super quick. Can I see from here? Church I want to get to. Okay. So there's a couple of things to be noted that are noteworthy. Little gazebos and such. I think there is a path down to the water from here, but I have to be careful about it. It's somewhere. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. There are a few other items of business to attend to around here. I do have to see Latenna about the Halig Tree Secret Medallion. So I'll need that for later. I still need to get the other half of the Dectus Medallion, but I think I've done the groundwork for that. I don't remember where the other half is. I think it might be in Fort Height. It's either in Fort Height or it's that other spot of the Weeping Peninsula. I don't remember which. Okay, so I can just take this to get back out on the water. Once again, impersonating a merchant. How dare you? Okay, we have this segment that's going to have a lot of Albinorics and such. And these are the second generation Albinorics hanging out here. Let's see. Dialos' lass is around here somewhere. There's the map of North Liurnia. I think it's over here, because it's kind of at the front of the gate town. No? Let's see, where am I? Oh. Can't access the map now? Well, might as well grab that golden seed over there. I believe I can get another flask charge when I want to. Okay, I think... Oh, there's a finger reader crone, I guess. Okay, so I need to visit there. There. I really don't remember where along here is the Dialos interaction. I think it's over here somewhere. Well, figure reader crone's like all the way up there, looking to give us a cryptic hint about how to get into Lucaria, but we already know where to find the necessary item. Dialos, where are you at? I don't quite remember. Except that it's somewhere in the vicinity of all of these ruins. Okay. It doesn't seem that it's at the eastmost point of this. Is it the southmost or something like that? It's in one of these random ruins. Well, let's start making our way over to 3, and this will skirt us through some things. Hopefully I won't be randomly killed by a lobster. Lobsters are very dangerous, you know. There's also some night-only encounters around here. There's like a death bird in this location. I think it's actually on one of these uphanging structures. Or, not uphanging structures, but one of these fallen bits of Farum Azula, which is what all of these ruined things are. They're fallen pieces of Farum Azula. We have a Grace. Come on, dismount. There are a lot of Graces in Liurnia. It's a little difficult to actually tag them all. Stretch my legs a little. Now, this is the Rose Church. I've spawned up an enemy I didn't mean to. Is inside this place. Is Very on a different side of this? I thought he was going to be here leaning up against the walls, so I might have not interacted with him enough. I think I probably missed Vare somewhere if he's not here at the church. Whatever. It was just kind of a fun thought about going to see him here. So, when you're playing at level 1, it's very difficult to get invasions to trigger because it's based on your weapons in terms of whether or not something will actually show up. Oh, you have to go back to the first step. Got it. But yes, as I was I think this is a teleporter. No, it's not. Cool. Oh, that's where that thing is. All sorts of people talk about that as being like a really, really good weapon. I've never actually found it before now. Huh. Let's see. Is that the... I think that's an important area. I don't remember. I almost walked right past that. This is the best spot in the game for farming land octopus. Might be necessary. So long as our weapon is at less than +3, we are not restricted in terms of being summoned. Stone key, some kukri, and yeah, just disrespect you a little bit. Cool, nice to meet you. So let me pop back to the first step and check on that real quick. Oh yeah, he's still marked as being over here. So, what's up? I got a maiden, killed a lord. How are you feeling?
Oh, well done. You bested. My congratulations. Now, for an audience, go to the... For an audience...
Yeah, it's true. I haven't actually spoken with the Two Fingers because they're creepy as heck, and I didn't care to. Ah, yes.
Are you? You've done well. I interpret the... Look there. The let's there.
Great
Well,
Anchor of all lands.
joy, until it was shattered.
The Elden Ring is the anchor of all lands. Interesting.
Across the realm, life lies in ruin. Foul curse, but the great will has not. So it is that the tarnished, brave tarnished, your great rune is a hand seek to become elder.
Let the words of the fingers guide you. Well, all there is, and should you, I will.
Yep.
The fingers guide.
We won't be using any remembrance stuff this game, so no need to really deal with that. Also, I didn't meet Rogier in the castle, but I think he moves over here anyway.
Pleased to meet you. But now I'm in this sorry state. I had a little mishap, and now I can't move. As you might guess,
Yeah.
it's far from ideal.
Yeah, he's got all this stuff going on.
I'm privy to a few. Would you care to look? Time can move. A little conversation. You did well done, friend. Something to mark the.
Oh, thank you.
As you might have guessed, no need to be. D is an old friend. We found ourselves, but our paths have. Though that's hard.
We don't need those, and we won't use them.
Those who live all the more.
Yeah, don't really care what you have to say. I'm gonna do some quick inventory management, which is that we will put those away. Put those away. Put away everything that's not a fist weapon. I guess arrows are technically equipped. We can hold on to the armors. We might use some armors at some point. Anyway, back on the road. Moog's pyramid scheme. Yeah, that's what he's up to. Is he still marked as being at the first step? He's not marked as being there anymore. I think he will have moved on to the Church of the Rose now. Or I guess he's indeterminate while we're here, and now perhaps he's moved. Well, it doesn't mark him there yet. Let's see. I think the game does assume that you will go back to the Round Table Hold after beating Godric, but before making it over here. There he is. He's chilling.
You've had your own what?
They're weird.
My doubts. The words of the two fingers truly naught but I believe. Even worse. That's the part. Oh, I have a.
Thank you.
A means for give it a try, and if it please, I've high hope.
So, we're gonna do some invading as best we can. We also need to speak with Roderica. So I need to invade 3 times to progress this quest line. Our invasions do not have to be successful in the least, which is good, because they're not going to be. She will have moved on to the Round Table Hold. It's impossible for her to not go to the Round Table Hold. Okay, that's all done. Let's see if we can get any invasion done. And while we're working at that, is there anywhere else for us to go? Those circles of guys almost always have smithing stones specifically. Whenever you find those, like, 4 chairs of people sitting around. Oh, some quick runes, maybe. Golden Rune 5 is pretty useful at this stage of the game. Please don't explode me. Thank you. War Master Shack.
Name's Bern. Let me ask you, are you here? Does your faith in despite? Honest, such thought, but there's no any interest. All I know now's the
Bernal. There's not much we can get from him. We can learn to kick.
Memento, a fine. That's how it grants me. Not floating. Well, there's no.
It's still difficult for me to matchmake because I can only really go in against people who are completely new.
There you
I'm gonna grab Kick. Warcry is also meaningful. So I think I can use Warcry with, pretty sure I can use Warcry with Fist Weapon. Yeah, melee armaments except daggers, thrusting swords, and whips.
Well.
Oh, I don't have any kind of whetstone at all. Right, I have to remember where that is. I think the whetstone is actually in, like, the first dungeon that you normally run across. Oh no, it's in this, it's in the Gatefront Ruins, isn't it? Let's go to the gate front. Okay, but when I teleport, it's going to remove my my search for PvP, so might have to reapply that shortly. Let's see, it's over in this other section. It's over here. I forgot this is even necessary. There we go. So we can possibly go heavy with this, which barely changes the weapon at all. From being, oh wait, plus 36, which is 144, which is 138. So standard's better for now. Standard's better for walking around. If we apply the strength knot tier that we have, it'd be the other way around. So the Festering Bloody Finger is not expended just for attempting to use it. I'm not sure what the brackets actually are for leveling up. Let's see. So we could make our way down to the Weeping Peninsula while we're waiting on stuff. Yada 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 dum. I'm not too interested in waiting around for a terribly long time to try and make this happen. excuse you. So I might just move on to Raya Lucaria. I don't think there's much reason for me to go after the Dragon Akil. So he's out here in this lake. It's more of a thing if you really want to have some kind of dragon-based incantation. Unsheathe. Crab eggs. Cool dynamic stuff going on over there. I think there's a church up there. I could get another sacred tear. I don't think I've been to that one. I think this is might be makeable. Woo! Ah, that was close. The invasion canceled message almost got me killed. Yeah, okay, this is the forest ruins that for if you want to like the demi-human queen's staff is a pretty good staff you can get there. Faith Knot tier is pretty handy for several reasons. Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to bother advancing various quests. The advantage is you can get into Moog's area more easily. Talking about the walking mausoleum. And this church actually has a Radagon statue. And Melina would like to talk here as well.
Spoken echoes of Queen Marika linger here as well. Shall I share them with you? In Marika's own words, Then, after thy death, I will give back what I once claimed, return to the lands between, wage war, and brandish the Elden Ring. Grow strong in the face of death. Warriors of my Lord Godfrey.
So that would have to be spoken of the Tarnished. After thy death, I will take back what I have granted. That sounds like it might be addressing somebody different. It's hard to tell. After thy death, I will take back what I have granted. Is that the line? I'm watching the stream now so that I can catch it on the delay. Marika's own words. Then, after thy death, I will give back what I once claimed. Give back what I once claimed. After thy death. Return to the lands between. Wage war and brandish the Elden Ring. Alright. Mysteries continue to abound. I'm not going to worry about completing Var's quest line, so we don't need to hold back on upgrading our weapon. We can just upgrade it. Hey, America. Not America. Roderica.
Isn't this place the round table hold? I never knew the guy, although I'm still looking. It's all a bit, I'm still looking.
I think it's Hugh who starts her up on spirit tuning and all that jazz. Burn a couple of these.
Now, those are of a challenge if I know well. The girl you bought, she's crest. She has it. I saw enough her eyes.
Eyes share the same hue. Is there another spirit tuner or a would-be spirit tuner that is anywhere that we're aware of? That's an interesting question. Crepice Black Key Crossbow. Assassin's Prayer Book. Neither of these are at all useful to us. And I see Nefeli Lu hasn't come down here yet. I think I'm due for a conversation with... what's it? Gideon Ofnir.
It's all a bit, I'm still looking. You're telling, I don't believe. If I do have this, I suppose I'll ask Master. Certainly, I know he's track and tell.
You know, her eyes, they're bluish, aren't they? Perhaps greenish, like a turquoise? I wonder if they bear some similarity to Rani's eyes. Although that would be hard to tell, now that Rani is a doll. Those aren't really her eyes.
You've received the wisdom of the... Then I bid you welcome. I am known as a tarnished... I am... You now belong to a select... You'll be after more than as your the inheritors of we of the Round Table know Godric the Grand, General Radahn, Praetor Rykard, Morgott, and Renala, Queen of the... You'll still be after...
Yeah, I don't need to know anything from you. We're pretty good on this. Just like, don't even fret. I think we can go to the fallen ruins of the lake here and make our way up into Raya Lucaria. Am I looking at the wrong direction? Oh, I totally am. Looking at the wrong cliffside. No lobsters. No thank you. Although, that being said, I do need to visit down here a bit later. It's not necessary now, but I will need to go see somebody about the Halid Tree Medallion. The first half of it, anyhow. Second half will be way later. Okay, so we need to get up over into here. I think it's over there. Is our route. The Academy Gate. Man, this whole place has seen better days. Yeah, this route... Bows! No thank you. This route is essentially the front door. There we go. Meeting place map. No need. Ah. Look at this in your inventory. I will take that as a suggestion. All right. I believe this here is kind of the popular dueling spot for the game. It might be a different spot. It's this general vicinity somewhere. I think it's actually on the other side of that other teleporter, which would put it kind of here-ish, maybe? Maybe that is. Maybe that's it. I don't recall. Do not remember. There's some other relevant places around here. We could check out the other teleporter that uses the other kind of stone sword key. Anyway, I want to come up into here. I'd like to get the magical whetstone. And of course, take down Renala. Memory serves, there's a grace in along the side here. Will I get to rest? There is no rest for me. That is all right. Excuse me, fellows. Try not to get got. Nope, nope. That's gonna get me got. I got snagged on the wall. Oh, hey, these corpses also have very notably hollow torsos. Look at that. Looks like they just kind of popped right open. It's an unusual depiction for kind of zombified dudes. Okay, so that was certainly a mistake. Oh, there's an item over here I should probably grab. Yoink. Yeah, I don't think we'll be using that. But oh well. We have it now. So going left gets me an item, but I don't have to do that. Oh, right. Excuse me, I'll just take this. Yep, carry a knight set. It's a pretty good set. I made a lot of use of that in my last run. Absolutely. Put that thing to work. Okay, that's just a bit of spare loot. Get on up over here. We can take a moment to get our bearings. Excuse me, fella. There we go. That-a-way. And now it's fine. Oh no. Ah, you're not supposed to make it on here with me. Dogs, man. Dogs. Deadliest friggin' things in the game. Absolutely. Okay. Let's make this run again. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Deal with you ahead of time. There we go. Yep. Touch the grace. If I remember right, this room is a little bit tricky. I think I take one... Oh, no. That's wrong. I've got to go up that way. I thought I just took a depth at that door to open the door, but that's wrong. I can go all the way down the hall and open the chest if I want, and I'll basically take a depth to do that, because this is way more mages than I actually want to fight. Basically, though, I run along here. And we'll run up this way. Ow! Let's remember how this goes. I'm glad that missed. Aw. Got me there. A lot of this fight is better done unlocked, if I remember right. So we'll see about that. I might decide to unlock for parts of this. There's also a couple jumping attacks I could have landed. It is a bit annoying that for this fight, we don't really have a good chance to buff ourselves on the way in. Cover stamina on the staircase, get to the next staircase, over here. Can actually buff up here, if I remember right. And then we want to look back over our shoulder. There we go. Rematch. Ah, dang it. I dodged late. Okay, that's right. He's got a bite, bite, bite. Oh, we can see the kind of casters and scholars of the school back before they all decided to wear these weird stone glintstone masks. I'm assuming that it is beneficial to spellcasting to have a bunch of glintstones standing on your head. There are certain, if I remember right, there is a certain gesture that has an interaction with the glintstone crown that makes it actually light up. Okay, there we go. Back to the fight. Ouch. Ouch. I would love to be more aggressive, but I do have to respect the glintstone blades. It's just a factor of the fight, pretty much. Yeah, erudition. That's it. That's the one. So I had considered to myself, I have some leftover chicken, and I'd been thinking that I was going to take some time today and cook myself some mashed potatoes to have with the chicken. And I wanted to get that done earlier in the day, but I didn't. So when I take a break, I'll be cooking that for myself. Dang it. Timing got a little off there. I took a dodge when I could have taken a heal, and then I took another dodge and it didn't work. As a note, there's also what's it called? I could go and like find more upgrade materials if I wanted to. It's just not important right now. But apart from that, there's also another couple mixed physics that I could go after that are pretty useful. I'm just not worrying about it right now. Whew, dodge that. Dang it. That's a double slash followed by a leap. Okay. Definitely haven't fought one of these guys in a while. The model for this wolf is super cool. And it is an enemy that gets oddly reused in about 2 other places, if I recall. There's one spot underground and one spot on Ronnie's Rise. I don't remember if there's a 4th red wolf. There we go. There we go. Chug. Slurp. Be a bit more patient about it. Ouch, that hurts a lot. Ah, I was too early on the dodge there by a lot. Okay. We'll have this soon. That was a much better fight. I could certainly use, like, one more sacred... Oh, I have another sacred tier. I was about to say, my heals are not always full healing me. Flasks. There we go. That's why I took the time to go to that other church. This guy will have gotten in front of me. Unfortunately for him, he's a nerd. Oh, you know, I could actually be using Warcry against the wolf. I mean, I did put it on the weapon for a reason. And we've got a lot of time during this fight while we're waiting on Stiff. It's not like the fight with Renala. We have very little time while dealing with Renala. Roar! Gah! Anger! Whoops, I didn't actually mean to do that. I keep doing that. every time he brings out the sword and I dodge too fast. Just wait a goddamn second. You know, I think actually a lot of his stuff is probably jumpable. Let me just try going over his attacks for a bit. Slim possibility I'm showing the boss too much respect. Okay, that time I dodged early because I was trying to get out of the glintstone blade. Oh, that hit me at the very tip of the hitbox. This is definitely a fight that's better off unlocked. Being locked onto him makes my dodges clunky. Man. Well, we could probably call this the first decent challenge because I kind of stomped Godric. I think Margit got me the first time. Thankfully, the runback's not bad. Oh, right. I suppose that persists. We can technically do that beforehand. Oh, a lot further. And I dodged too early again. Okay, so the leaping attack with this is actually brutal. The leaping attack with this hits twice. And that's the leaping heavy. That's insane. Oh, you know, while I'm thinking about it, I technically also have access to the Sea Offer Deep Well, I believe. And I could go after the stag that's down there. I don't remember if that one's worth a remembrance, though. I think only the second stag fight is worth a remembrance. Yeah, we're mad. Very circular hitboxes on the wolf. I played this a lot safer when I was fighting him the first time through. This time I'm very much just going in at him. And again, the first time I fought him, I think I didn't even have the Sore Seal. Or the Scar Seal. The better one. Too early on the dodge again. Because it's got two timings. I'm not reacting to him calling out the sword. I'm reacting to his head moving. Because his head movement can signal a quick bite. Honestly, my actual dodge timing has kind of been ruined by Melania. I'll remember how to dodge when I get back to her. Come on, bro. He got me. The Red Wolf has this, he likes to switch between not fighting you at all and being way up in your face. He's a pretty cool boss, honestly. Although I do not like the glintstone attacks on any boss, the glint blade attacks. Like, the Red Wolf of Radagon is a really great boss, except for the fact that he does these glint blade setups that I don't like. And it's the same thing for both Lorettas. There we go. Out. Dodge late. Forgot about that attack entirely. I don't know if I've seen him do that before or not. Oh, come on. So that's a circumstance where, like, the direction I was holding on the controller would have dodged the glintstone attack if he didn't jank out my camera by jumping over me. So if I had unlocked from him, I would have dodged that correctly. Maybe not the entire sequence, I'm not sure. That's why I don't like the glint blade attacks. Is he'll do a glint blade thing and then he'll do a charging attack at you, and it turns into a bit of a crapshoot. I'm thinking the answer here is just run at him harder and kill him faster. And don't be jittery on the controller. Single glint blade doesn't actually require him to commit to anything. Triple glint blade requires him to jump to the side, but it perfectly syncs up with the next thing he's gonna do. Oh, right. Since I had War Cried, I can't do the R2 because it got changed to the charge, and that's way worse. If I had just done lights or a jumping attack, it would have been fine. There we go. A little early. Third bite got me. That was a better fight. I still had some early dodges on various things. I think for most of his attacks, dodging backwards to get off a heal is actually pretty safe, and I shouldn't worry about it too much. He can follow after me and prevent me from doing the healing, but I can kind of react to it. I mostly just need to, like, calm down and slow it down a heck of a lot. I need to remember I'm like a Dark Souls 2 character. Way, miss. Miss. Ouch. Okay, got a little trolled by the buffer for a bit there. Okay, he jumps forward more than that on that attack. Oh, that was early. You son of a bitch. Okay. Ha! I lived at 1. That's the lucky survival that can happen if you're like, if you're barely going to die, sometimes you'll get that benefit. The game took it easy on me for a bit. That's okay. Boss is dead. And that was a, like, pretty capable fight. I don't feel too bad about what I messed up there. Right at the flippin' end. Okay. There is a bit of business in this next segment, because there's an item that's actually important to our run that we need to grab. If I remember correctly, it's over here. Oh wow, that's my first staff. There it is, Glintstone Wet Blade. Needed that. Okay. With that in tow, I'm actually going to change up the weapon. Because now we can make it a cold weapon. The int scaling's not important. Now this does bleeding and cold, which is crazy. It's just absolutely nutty. Not even like bad amounts of each. The frost buildup is 73, the blood buildup is 38. I think we compromised a little bit on the blood buildup in order to put frost on the weapon, but it's fine. Puts a bunch of frost on the weapon, it's hilarious. We're gonna come over here and jump onto this. There is like a somewhat mandatory PvP fight coming up that's pretty tough. I forget what this is or if it's worth it. Cool, crystal darts. Crystal darts are actually fairly useful. I'm gonna let that drop one more time so I can remember its pattern. Right. So we're gonna hang out over here anywhere between these two pillars. Good to go. Run forward. We do not want to go through that at all, for sure. I'm trying to remember what this is set up like. Okay. That's right. It's after this guy. Rather, it's in this, like, little area. This guy over here is actually a tough customer. So I'm going to take care of something else before dealing with him. So this here can be opened, and you can go up this ladder, and if you want, you can kill the guys up there. That prevents the boulder from coming down anymore. Moongrim, this guy's tough. Oh, right, you're actually, still aggroed, aren't you? Okay, cool. If you attack this guy too quickly, he will parry you. It's really funny. So generally, we just want to take this kind of slow, abuse the fact that we have Estus. Now we don't have Estus. Okay, yep. But yeah, the way through this fight is generally keep leap attacking him. Yeah, just keep using leaping heavies. And, keep using leaping heavies. Use Estus. I should theoretically be moving back further when I use Estus. He denied me like 3 drinks. Whatever. It's a PvP fight against an opponent with very superior stats. I don't care about doing it perfectly. We just gotta get it done. I think we can make this run before the second one comes down. Yeah, thereabouts. So this time that other guy's not going to come up. Because I'll just do this fight. So sometimes we'll trade shots on the jumping attack, and sometimes he'll just run me down like a madman. And I don't have countermeasures for those things that can happen. They're just things that can happen. I actually think for this fight, going with non-frost might be better, because it splits my damage types. So as much as I can go cold now, I think sticking to standard's probably better. Let's see. That certainly does swing with both. If I have it down to 1, yeah, if I'm using it in 2 hands, it is a double hitting heavy jump. But otherwise, it's just a single hit. The trajectory of the boulder is thankfully the same every single time. Woof. That sucks. It was persistent enough to last through our whole dodge, and it's a one-shot. I might have to treat him differently when he has the staff out. We'll see. We did get one bleed on him. It's kind of nice. As a note, so long as we have this weapon at its standard form, we can also use grease. So we can use greases and also have the bleed still going. Weapons that have this baseline bleed effect do not preclude the use of grease. Not only is bleed incredibly powerful in Elden Ring, it's also just very convenient. We have 45 bleed while it's not frost enchanted, so we lose about 7 on the bleed value for putting on the cold infusion. Oh look, that's what I said before. You cannot attack this guy at all while he's got the shield out. You'll just get parried. He parries you on an input read too, so it doesn't really matter like what else you're trying to do. He just does it. Like there's not a chance of it happening. He doesn't have to be in a certain stance to do it. He just parries you for attacking him multiple times in a row. How dare you try to be aggressive in Elden Ring? The dungeons and locations and the exploration in Elden Ring is incredible. But the actual gameplay mechanics and the combat are not fair. Straight up, not fair. Just go a little harder here. That spell he's casting has kind of combo attacking properties. It has a faster startup if it follows on a sword swing. That is a shared property across all like magical sword spells. Is if you weave them into a combo, they come out faster. Which is cool. It's pretty cool. What's it called? I could probably actually throw on this guy's armor, which is very spell resistant, and not get one shot by that attack, as a note. I might do that if I keep getting stuck on him. It's not a fun segment to be stuck on. Alright. I'm gonna try, when he puts away the shield, I'm gonna pressure him harder. I don't know what that sound interaction was. There we go. Yep, once he puts the shield away, he can't do the parry on you, so you can try to stuff him a bit harder. The Carrion Knight's shield is also, like, an incredibly broken item. It's disgusting. Super gross. Really unfair. Like, however many more ways I can say it, it is some jank. So if I go in now, I'm only gonna have 3 flask uses. But whatever. I'll give it a shot. This is a gimmick fight, and I don't mind it. It's fine. We're not gonna watch the cutscene for it. It's whatever. We need to identify these singers that are marked in gold. After 3 of those, Renala's gonna fall. Gonna move away when she starts doing that. Ouch. When her lifting those guys into the sky, I do have to get a little out of the way. She's gonna use an attack based on them that is super crazy. I do not know where her singer is hanging out right now. There he is. Yep, that's the attack. If we were not fully healed, that attack could have killed us. I gotta go. Those, the candle lights falling from the ceiling indicate that a chandelier is gonna fall. That's the single most dangerous thing the boss does, is the chandelier drop. That'll absolutely one-shot us. The chandelier drop and the children missile are our strongest first phase attacks. I'm glad to see the children missile doesn't kill us. It's probably because we had the +10 strength from the strength knot tier. Strength gives you damage resistance at a pretty good ratio. We'll watch this cutscene.
My beloved.
Renala herself does not hold the Great Rune. That amber egg that was left with her by Radagon is what actually holds the Great Rune. Yeah. Even if you're getting along with Ranni at this point, she does not take kindly to you beating up her mother.
Upon my name as Ranni the Witch. Mother's rich limber shall not be disturbed by thee. Foul trespasser. Send word far and wide. Of the last
A little bit of frame dropping in this. Bummer. Yeah, you can see because her lips aren't moving, it's not Renala talking at all.
And the majesty of the night she conjureth.
Yeah. So now we face Renala from her prime. No thank you. I don't remember how to deal with that attack. Bloodhound Knight got me. Tricky. I might actually want to come back here with a more upgraded weapon. It is a little tricky to do this fight if she's always going to get her summon off. A lot of the time, if I layer on enough damage, I can probably prevent her from getting the summon out. I'm going to try this one more time without upgrading. And then if that doesn't pan out, I think I may spend some time looking around for upgrade materials. In terms of what we can do, we could be a lot stronger. Interesting thing about this restricted run, since I'm so restricted in the items I'm using, I don't really need to find bell bearings or buy additional smithing stones. I can just use the smithing stones I find, because I don't need enough. I don't need too many of them anyway. There's more of the dungeon over to the left there. I mean, there's a whole lot more dungeon that I'm not interacting with. Because we don't benefit from finding almost any gear in the entire game. There's, like, probably somewhere between 6 and 10 items in the entire game that we care about. Because at a +3, the Flask of Crimson Tears is already upgraded enough. Whetstones matter. There are very few weapon arts that can possibly matter to us. That's convenient. Whoops. I didn't leave soon enough. All right, one more. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff in Raya Lucaria that we could explore around in. But with the locations we have access to, we could go to a few different kind of... what's the word? A few different tunnels between Raya Lucaria and Caelid. And visiting those areas and getting some upgrade materials, we could get these fists to be like +12 or something silly. I think Caelid actually has materials going up to like the 4 and 5 level out of 8 total. I think it would be difficult for us to get higher than +17 before getting out of Lane Dell. But if memory serves, Caelid actually has some areas and some materials that are post Lane Dell level. Because you can either do Lane Dell or Redmane Castle first. It's really your option. And I think the game actually expects that you will do Lane Dell before Redmane Castle. Sips. Okay, now's the time to leave. Make sure I'm at full. Watch out for children missiles. I think that shout will carry through after the cutscene, but I'm not 100%. Ouch. Right, okay, can't dodge into that one. You gotta dodge back out of it. Yep, alright. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back from the break, I'm gonna eat. We'll be back from break probably around 9ish to go from about 9 to midnight. And that's our hard cutoff because I got some things to do tomorrow. But when we come back from the break, we'll be gathering some upgrade materials from various places until we could just utterly thrash Renala. And then we'll be trying to move on to probably Radon. So we'll be trying to clear out through Redmane Castle to get up through there. Thanks for joining. Hope you catch the latter half later tonight. If not, have a good evening.